Our topic is multiplying fractions, and the essential question is, how can you model the multiplication of fractions? So when you multiply fractions, you don't need to mess with common denominators. You just multiply straight across. So right here, you're just going to multiply the numerators. 1 times 1 is 1, and then 2 times 3 is 6. So that's the answer. But the more challenging part is how you'd model how to get this product. So what I wrote right here is I wrote 1/2 like this and then multiplied by 1/3 because I want to model it to show you how we get 1/6 as the answer. So I'm going to start off by just kind of drawing a box or rectangle like this, and I'm going to cut it in half, and to represent this 1/2 I'm going to color in half of what I just drew. Okay, so would you agree with me that that represents 1/2? Okay, so now kind of ignoring that for a second, I want to model 1/3 on this picture right here. Okay, so try to ignore that yellow, okay? So looking at the columns right there, I want to model 1/3 on those columns. And I would color in 1 out of the 3 of those, okay? So right there, that's one column is 1/3. The yellow is 1/2 of that. And see where we get green right now? 1/2 times 1/3 is 1/6. Because there's only 1 out of the 6 boxes now that is shaded in green to represent that multiplication problem. Okay, right here, just multiply straight across. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 4 is 12. And you know what? We can simplify that. Let's go ahead and simplify that like you've learned in a previous lesson. A number that goes into both 4 and 12 is 4, so I'm going to divide the numerator by 4 and the denominator by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So 2/3 times 2/4 is 4/12, or you could say 1/3, because you know they're interchangeable. Now let's go ahead and model that product. So I'll write 2/3 over here, and we're going to multiply it by 2/4 right there. I'm going to go ahead and draw a rectangle. And I'm going to cut it into thirds. Okay, so to represent 2/3, I would shade in 2 of those. 2 out of the 3 little old strips. 1, 2. Okay, that right there represents 2/3. Okay, now I'm going to put in columns, and I want to put in 4 columns. Okay, so kind of ignoring that yellow and just focusing on the columns, I want to represent 2/4 of that, okay? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. I need to shade in 2 of those 4 columns to represent 2/4. There's 1 column. There's the second column. Okay, and you'll see the part that is green would represent my answer. 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 boxes, okay? And that also simplifies down to 1/3. For your summary, I want you to go ahead and multiply these 2 problems and then simplify them. There's no need to model them, okay? So I want you to give me the answer to 4/5 times 10 and then simplify it if you can. And I want you to give me the answer to 1/3 times 4/6 and then simplify that if you can. Okay, now it says show how you get each product. So I'm pretty confident that you could probably figure out how to get the product just by multiplying straight across, like you should know. 2 times 1 is 2, and then you can kind of think of this as 2 divided by 1, because 2 divided by 1 is still 2. But I like to make it a fraction because when I'm multiplying fractions, it's easier for me to visualize that I multiply straight across. 1 times 3 is 3. So I know my answer is going to be 2/3. Now to represent this picture, it looks maybe a little different. So it's a whole 2. So I'm going to draw 2 rectangles. There's 2 of them, okay? And I'm going to shade those in yellow. Okay, there's 2 of those right there. And we're saying that there's going to be 2 1/3s. 2 1/3s. So I'm cutting them into 1/3 columns for each of those 2 holes. And right here is 1/3. And over here is 1/3. Okay, there's 2 1/3s right there because it's 2 groups of 1/3. And when I have my answer, I see that I have 1, 2 1/3s. Okay. Okay, so now we're back to a fraction multiplied by a fraction, okay? Well, this could also be thought of as a fraction, but I also look at that as a whole number, okay? Whole number written as a fraction. Right here, this is not a whole number, this is not a whole number. So, again, I'm going to multiply straight across. 4 times 2 is 8. 6 times 3 is 18. And I know I can simplify that. And remember, I wanted you to get in the habit of simplifying it. I'm going to go ahead and divide by 2. Divide by 2, that would be 4. 18 divided by 2 is 9, so 4/9 is its simplified form. I can't simplify it any further. So let's go ahead and model this one. I'm going to go ahead and write a 4/6 right here. So when I draw this out, I'm going to have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And I'm going to draw the little rows for that. Okay, so to represent 4/6, I need to shade in 4 of those rows. Okay, would you agree that that's 4/6? Sorry, it's bleeding through from the front page. Okay, now we're going to multiply it by 2/3. Okay, so I want to cut the columns into 1/3 pieces, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. And to represent 2 of those 1/3s, I'm going to shade in 2 of them. Okay, so now looking at this, I see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 8 18ths, like you see there, which will simplify down to 4/9. Okay, the last example problem is 2/5 multiplied by 3/4. Go straight across. 2 times 3 is 6. 5 times 4 is 20. We can definitely simplify that. Let's go ahead and divide. Let's divide by 2. 2 goes into both of those equally, so divide by 2. Divide by 2. 3/10. I cannot simplify that any further, so that is a simplified answer. Now let's go ahead and represent this with a picture. 2/5. So I'm going to have 5 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and I'm going to cut up the rows right here so that you see 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I need to shade in 2 of them to represent 2/5. Okay, that represents 2/5, and we're multiplying it by 3/4. So you're going to look at columns, and you're going to make 4 columns. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to shade in 3 of them to represent 3/4. Now I see that when I multiply those together, I get 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I'm sorry, I need to do 3/4. I only did 2/4. Okay, sorry about that. It's 1, 2, 3, 3/4. Okay, let's go ahead and answer this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay? And we know that that simplifies down to 3/10. For your summary, I want you to multiply, then simplify. You don't need to model them, okay? So 2/3 times 12, give me the answer, and then simplify it if you can. Number 2, I want you to do 5 times 4, 6. Give me the answer, then simplify it if you can.